She said, "You should avoid speaking during my presentation. You'll make me look unprofessional." I said, "Good to know." I didn't correct her. I didn't show up. But when she walked on stage and saw who was sitting in the front row holding the updated project file, her voice cracked before the first sentence. "I'm Colin, 33, and 4 days ago my girlfriend told me I wasn't competent enough to speak at her work presentation." What she didn't know was that the presentation she was about to give contained my research, my analysis, and my solutions, and that her boss already knew I'd done all the work she was about to claim credit for. I'd been with Marissa for about a year and a half. We met through work, different companies, same industry, both of us in data consulting. She worked for a mid-sized firm. I work for a smaller boutique consultancy that specializes in complex analytics. We bonded over shared frustrations with clients, similar technical backgrounds, mutual understanding of the work. About 6 months ago, Marissa's firm landed a big client, a healthcare company looking to overhaul their data infrastructure. Major project, significant budget, high visibility. Marissa was assigned as the lead consultant, which was a big deal for her. Potential promotion, career advancement, chance to prove herself. The only problem was that the project was more complex than her firm had initially assessed. The healthcare company's data was a mess. Multiple legacy systems, inconsistent formatting, compliance issues, integration nightmares. Marissa was struggling. She'd come home stressed, overwhelmed, talking about how she was in over her head. I offered to help. Not officially, I couldn't bill my time to her company, but as a partner supporting her, she was grateful. We'd spend evenings and weekends with me walking her through technical approaches, helping her understand the architecture, building models she could use, writing code she could adapt. It started as consultation. Then it became collaboration. Then, gradually, it became me doing most of the actual technical work while she handled client communications and internal project management. I didn't mind initially. I loved the technical challenge. The problems were interesting, complex, the kind of work I enjoy, and I was helping my girlfriend succeed. Seemed like a win-win. But about 2 months ago, things shifted. Marissa started taking more credit for the work. In her internal presentations to her team, she'd present solutions I'd developed as her own ideas. She'd talk about her approach and her methodology when describing systems I'd architected. She'd reference her analysis when showing reports I'd written. When I'd point this out, gently, not accusatorially, she'd say it was just work politics, that she had to position herself as the technical lead to her bosses, that giving me credit would complicate things since I wasn't officially part of the project. "I'll make it up to you," she'd say. "Once this project is done and I get my promotion, I'll take you somewhere amazing. I promise." I let it slide. Figured she was under pressure, that I'd get proper acknowledgement eventually. 3 weeks ago, Marissa told me about the big presentation. Her firm was hosting a major stakeholder meeting. Her bosses, the client's executive team, some board members. She'd be presenting the final recommendations, showcasing the new data infrastructure design, demonstrating the projected improvements, career-defining moment. "I'm terrified," she admitted. "This is the biggest presentation of my career. If I nail this, the promotion is basically guaranteed." "You'll do great. You know the material." "I know it because you explained it to me. But presenting it to this audience, I'm worried I'll get technical questions I can't answer." "You can answer them. You've been living this project for months." "Maybe you could come? As moral support? Sit in the back? Help me feel confident?" "Sure, if you want me there." "Actually, let me think about that. It might look weird having my boyfriend there. Let me see how I feel closer to the date." Fast forward to 4 nights ago. The presentation was scheduled for Friday afternoon. Thursday night, we were at her apartment reviewing her slides one final time. "I think I'm as ready as I'll ever be," she said. "You're going to kill it." "You're still planning to come tomorrow, right?" "If you want me there, yeah." She hesitated. "Actually, I've been thinking. Maybe it's better if you don't come. Oh, okay, why? It's just, you know how you are. You get excited about technical details. You might want to jump in with clarifications or additional context, and I don't want anything to make me look unprofessional. You think I'd interrupt your presentation? Not intentionally, but you're so knowledgeable about this stuff. Way more than me, honestly. And if you're in the room and I say something slightly wrong, you might correct me. Or I might look to you for backup. It could undermine my credibility as the lead. I wouldn't do that. I know you wouldn't mean to, but it's safer if you're just not there. You should avoid speaking during my presentation. Actually, you should probably just skip it entirely. You'll make me look unprofessional if people realize I've been getting so much help. I sat there processing. You don't want me at your presentation because you're afraid people will realize I did the work. That's not what I said. It's what you meant. You're about to present my research, my analysis, my infrastructure design, and you don't want me in the room because someone might figure out it's not actually your work. I never said it wasn't my work. We collaborated. I managed the project. You managed the client relationship. I did the technical work. You're being unfair. I worked on this too. I'm not saying you didn't. I'm saying the technical components, the architecture, the data models, the integration strategy, the compliance framework, that was me. And you know it. She went quiet. I thought you wanted to help me. I did. I do. But there's a difference between helping you and doing your job while you take all the credit. So now you're saying I owe you credit in front of my bosses and my client? That'll really help my career. I'm saying maybe I should be acknowledged for the work I did. That's not unreasonable. It is when you're not part of the project team, when you're not employed by my company, when bringing you in would raise questions about why I needed outside help. Outside help from my boyfriend who specializes in exactly this type of work. Just forget it. Don't come tomorrow. I'll do it myself. Good to know. I left, drove home. Spent that night thinking about what to do. Update 1. Friday morning, I made a decision. I wasn't going to the presentation, but I wasn't going to stay silent either. I'd been documenting everything, every late-night session, every technical document I'd created, every piece of code I'd written. I had a complete record of my contributions to Marissa's project. Not because I'd planned to use it against her, but because I'm thorough and I keep records of my work. I compiled everything into a single file, a comprehensive document showing the evolution of the project's technical components, time-stamped, with clear authorship attribution for every model, every analysis, every recommendation. Then I sent it to someone I'd met at an industry conference 6 months ago, Marissa's boss, Graham. We'd had a good conversation about data architecture challenges, exchanged business cards, stayed loosely connected on LinkedIn. Professional acquaintance, nothing more. My email was carefully worded. Graham, I hope this doesn't come across inappropriately, but I wanted to make you aware of something before today's presentation. I've been providing significant technical assistance to Marissa on the healthcare project. Documentation attached. This isn't about taking credit, but I believe you should know the full picture of how the technical solutions were developed before making decisions about project outcomes. Happy to discuss if you have questions. I sent it at 9 a.m. The presentation was at 2 p.m. That gave Graham 5 hours to review the material and decide what to do with the information. Then I waited. Around 11 a.m., Graham replied, "Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Very thorough documentation. Would you be able to attend the presentation this afternoon? 2 p.m. at our downtown office. I think your perspective would be valuable." I responded, "I'll be there." I didn't tell Marissa. Update 2. I arrived at Marissa's office building at 1:45 p.m. Checked in at reception, was directed to a conference room on the executive floor. Large room, stadium-style seating, projection screen at the front. About 40 people already there. Marissa's colleagues, client representatives, Some executives I recognized from company websites. I took a seat in the front row, off to the side, placed my laptop on the desk in front of me, opened the comprehensive documentation file I'd sent Graham, waited. Marissa walked in at 1:55 p.m. looking nervous but put together. Professional outfit, presentation materials in hand, confident stride. She was talking to someone from her team, laughing at something, getting ready to wow the room. She stepped up to the front, positioned herself at the podium, smiled at the audience. Then she looked at the front row and saw me. Her face went white. Actual, visible loss of color. Her smile disappeared. She looked at me, then at Graham, who was sitting 3 seats away from me, then back at me. "Hi everyone," she started, voice shaky. "Thank you for coming today. I'm going to present our final recommendations for the healthcare data infrastructure project." Her voice cracked. She cleared her throat, tried again. "Over the past 6 months, my team and I have been working on..." She trailed off, looked at me again. I had my laptop open, the documentation visible on the screen. Anyone nearby could see it was the same project she was about to present. Graham stood up. "Marissa, before you begin, I think we need to discuss the project's technical development. This morning I received documentation from Colin here," he gestured to me, "showing extensive technical contributions to your project, contributions you haven't previously disclosed. Can you explain the nature of his involvement?" The room went silent. Everyone looked at Marissa. She opened her mouth, closed it, looked trapped. "Colin is my boyfriend," she said quietly. "He helped me with some technical aspects." "Some?" Graham pulled out a tablet, started scrolling through something, presumably the documentation I'd sent. According to these records, he developed the entire data architecture, created all the integration models, wrote the compliance framework, essentially designed the technical solution you were about to present as your own work. I managed the project. You managed client relationships, which is important. But the technical work, the actual deliverable we're here to discuss, appears to have been done by someone outside our company, without our knowledge, without proper contracts or IP agreements. Marissa looked at me like I'd betrayed her. "You sent him that file?" "I did." "Why?" "Because you told me not to come to your presentation. You said I'd make you look unprofessional. I realized you meant I'd make you look unprofessional by exposing that you didn't actually do the technical work you've been claiming credit for. So I decided Graham should know before you presented my work as yours. I never said it was only my work. You never said it wasn't. You've been presenting internal updates about your methodology and your analysis for months. You were about to give this presentation taking full credit for technical solutions I developed. That's not collaboration. That's plagiarism." Graham cleared his throat. "Marissa, we'll need to discuss this privately. For now, this presentation is postponed. Everyone, thank you for coming. We'll reschedule once we've clarified the situation." The room started emptying. Client executives looked confused and annoyed. Marissa's colleagues were whispering to each other. Graham approached me as people filed out. "Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Can you stay for a meeting with me, Marissa, and our legal team?" "Of course." Update 3. The meeting lasted 2 hours. Marissa, Graham, their legal counsel, HR rep, and me. They asked me to walk through my involvement in the project. I showed them time-stamped documents, code repositories with my authorship, email chains where I'd sent Marissa technical solutions she'd later presented as her own. Marissa tried to frame it as collaboration. I was her partner. We worked on things together. She'd managed the overall project while I'd helped with technical components. She wasn't trying to steal credit, just present a unified front to the client. The legal counsel shut that down. If an outside party not employed by our firm developed core deliverables for a client project, we have serious IP and contractual issues. Either Colin's work is proprietary to him, which means we can't use it without proper agreements, or Marissa misrepresented the project's development to us, which is a different kind of problem. Graham looked at me. What do you want here, Colin? Are you looking for compensation? Legal action? I'm looking for honest acknowledgement of what happened. Marissa presented my work as hers for months. She's been positioning herself for a promotion based on my contributions. That's not okay. What you do about it is up to you. Would you be willing to sign over IP rights to the work in exchange for appropriate compensation? Depends on the compensation. We negotiated for another 30 minutes. They offered me $75,000 for full IP rights to everything I developed for the project, plus an NDA that prevented me from discussing the situation publicly. I agreed. Marissa sat there watching this happen, realizing that not only was she not getting credit for the work, but her company was now paying her boyfriend for work she'd claimed as her own. Final update. It's been 6 weeks. Marissa was not fired, but she was removed from the project. Her promotion was canceled. She's been reassigned to smaller projects with closer supervision. Her reputation within the company is damaged. We broke up 3 days after the presentation disaster. She called me vindictive, said I'd sabotaged her career out of spite. I told her she'd sabotaged her own career by claiming credit for work she didn't do. We haven't spoken since. Graham reached out a few weeks later asking if I'd be interested in consulting for their firm officially. I declined. The whole situation left a bad taste in my mouth. The healthcare client eventually received the presentation, delivered by someone else on Marissa's team with proper attribution to the technical solutions. Project moved forward successfully. I got paid, signed the NDA, moved on. I'm seeing someone new now, another data analyst, though not from the same industry. We have a rule: we don't collaborate on work projects. Keep professional and personal completely separate. Learned that lesson the hard way. Looking back, I should have never let it get that far. The first time Marissa presented my work as hers without acknowledgement, I should have addressed it directly instead of letting it slide. By the time I finally acted, months of resentment had built up, and the resolution was more dramatic than it needed to be. But I don't regret sending that email to Graham. Marissa had every opportunity to acknowledge my contributions, to be honest about how the project developed. Instead, she chose to claim sole credit and explicitly told me to stay away from the presentation so no one would realize the truth. She was right that I'd make her look unprofessional, just not in the way she thought. I'm Colin, 33, data consultant, learning that helping someone succeed doesn't mean letting them take credit for your work. Marissa wanted a career-defining presentation showcasing her technical expertise. She got a career-defining disaster showcasing her dishonesty instead. That's what happens when you confuse support with ownership.